right, so this mission, that's our medic. This mission took place right after sunset. And it obviously was not dark enough yet to fly night vision goggles, and we had to go. So you got to take off unaided. Always have our night vision goggles with us all the time, ready to go. Our battery packs are on, our helmets are ready. In the event that we have to goggle up in flight, obviously we take turns. The guy not on the controls, obviously, goggles up, gets ready to go, and then we hand him off and move on. So that's my checklist hanging there, the green book, which I probably should have open. My logbook in the door, some bottles of water, M4, loading a mag, 30 rounds. Just showing this video in the state of New York, I'll probably get arrested for a 30-round mag. My bulldog clips on the dash, holding my map, putting in the grid coordinates. That's I'm currently up on the radio getting the 9 line. Putting in the grid. Wish I could see it. But this, obviously it's probably boring watching this. Some people probably enjoy it, but I'm sure the last time I shot a video like this, a lot of people complained it's boring, whatever, but it is what it is. I guess don't watch it. On the dash there, you see I have a little rubber duck. That was my mascot. Always flew with my little rubber duck. I think we would always get big care packages from the States. And around Christmas, just from random people. Around Christmas, we got a bunch of boxes of stuff, and there was a rubber duck in there. I grabbed it for some reason, I don't know why, but just started flying with it. And every time I was on duty, it got stuck up on the dash when I was right seated. It went up above the backup compass, and then when I was in the left seat, I'd stick it behind the window pane on the dash, or underneath the window pane. So I think he's asking me if we're putting goggles on. Obviously not. And he's having problems with his, so I gotta make sure the battery pack is connected for him. That's our crew chief. There's the other aircraft, loaded up, ready to go. All right, I'm gonna start pushing the flight controls forward, get this rotor going. Damn crew chief forgot to close my door. Don't worry, I'll get that. It's hard to reach, especially when you're flying in a place like Afghanistan, because you have an armor plate that's on your right side in the right seat there, and it sticks out. So you really can't reach too far out to your right side. So all the master caution lights are off. that need to be off. And looking in the back, make sure everybody's secure. We'll say it over the radio. We'll ask, secure. We'll call over to the other aircraft, let them know we're Redcon 1, ready to take off. I'm doing a before takeoff check, make sure the flight engine control levers are all the way forward, pointing at the dash and the different lights. I forget that little orange light is off the top of my head. Obviously not an issue. Unfortunately, I can't see it very well. All right, so we're getting ready to take off here. There's the HESCO barriers in front of us, what I talked about in one of my previous videos. The greatest invention ever. All right, here we go. Obviously, I'm not on the controls for this mission. My buddy in the left seat is. So you see that little yellow lights when I look down on the dash with some numbers on it. Like 93, that is our radar altimeter, 121. That's giving us our altitude above ground. I won't go through the entire video. I'll just go to the point of landing and picking up the patients, because it gets pretty dark between now and when we take off again, and the video is extremely hard to see. I mean, you can tell already it's very grainy. The camera's struggling to get any light. 570 feet above ground level. If I remember correctly, we're pretty close to where we're going. I believe there was multiple civilians, 2 adult males, gunshot wounds to the abdomen, I believe, and they weren't even on litters when we got there. They were walking, I'm sure in excruciating pain. So we're flying directly south right now, and most likely the fact that I'm not on the controls, I have the ground frequency tuned up, and I'm making contact with the guys on the ground, identifying smoke. And you can see off to the left there, there's a little smoke popping up. It's kind of hard to see. I can see it off to the left there. And my partner there just saw it and pointed it out. And he's going to make, I believe, a left turn, circle around, and land back to the west. The wind, by looking at the smoke, was pretty negligent, meaning that you pretty much land any direction. No tailwind. You don't want to land with a tailwind. You always want to land into the wind the best you can. Sometimes you have to do a crosswind, or sometimes you have to land with a tailwind, depending on where you're going. But it's just something you got to be aware of, and watch your power and your tail, and make sure you don't smash the tail into the ground with a tailwind. Yeah, that's looking out over the ridge line there off to the straight west. Obviously the sun is pretty far below that at this point. So we're going to be coming in here short final. You can hear the popping of the rotor blades as we're starting an approach. And also you'll notice the dash starting to shake, the vibrations increase. One of the things as you're talking to the ground guys, was to get status of the patient. A lot of times the medic would get on the radio and speak to their medic on the ground to get a heads up before they got there to try to limit our ground time. And obviously we're down safe on the ground. One of the first things you do is set the parking brake. If we're on uneven terrain at all, it'll prevent the aircraft from rolling, obviously. So the crew chief gets out with his firearm at the ready and just kind of searching the area, scanning the area. Although in a situation like this where we have coalition troops on the ground, they've already have a basically a defensive perimeter set up around us. Obviously, a couple of those guys are not the guys that are wounded. I'm doing a before takeoff check, making sure the flight control levers are in the forward lock position. Once we get everybody in the aircraft, we will take the parking brake back off, and the pilot on the controls will keep his feet on the brakes. And also, when you do a before landing check, you're checking to make sure the brake is no longer set, because you don't want to land with the brake set in most cases. If you're going to do like a pinnacle landing or something like that where you're just putting one wheel on the ground, you want to make sure your wheel brakes are locked. Because obviously if you're trying to set your wheel down on something, that's our second aircraft I'm pointing at up there. Obviously if your wheels are not locked and you're trying to set your wheel on a rock or a roof of a building or something like that, you're going to roll around. You don't want to do that. You want to be able to pivot on that wheel. And we're getting ready to launch here. All the grass and trash blowing all over the place. And we're airborne, headed back to the north with a right turn. And that'll pretty much cover it for this video, because it gets darker and darker and grainier, and you really can't see much after that. But as before, if you have any questions, please ask. Any comments, negative or positive, I know you're all out there. Please let me know. All right. Take care.